This is the start of my new Train Odyssey. Leaving my suburban location on the Chicago Metro Rail, heading for Union Station in Chicago to embark on the first leg of the trip, which will be the Southwest Chief of AMTRAK, bound for Los Angeles. The date is May 12th, 2018. As usual, I've packed fairly lightly for a 2-week trip. Just my overhead size carry-on or overhead carry-on sized suitcase and my backpack, which mostly just carries things like camera equipment.
The next stop will be Mayfair.
Anybody go to Healy? Oh, wait for Healy.
They're doing a little bit of renovation here since the last time I was here.
This is a continuing order announcement for advanced train redirect to running this is AMTRAK's
doing some serious renovating in here. That's one of the downsides to being in a sleeper car, is most trains are boarded from the rear. So even though you're a first class passenger, you've got the longest walk to get to your car, because the sleepers are usually up front. And since I couldn't shoot videos, I was carrying my bags up the stairs. And here we are in number 9. So I'll be on the right side of the train as far as Los Angeles. My car is the last one before the dining car, so at least meals will be convenient. Okay, so as mentioned earlier on the Metra train footage, this is going to be a long video. This is going to be the longest train odyssey I've done so far. The date is Saturday, the 12th of May, 2018. So May 12th, 2018. I'm on Train 3. Let me turn the volume down here a little bit. So Amtrak Train 3 in Chicago Union Station. And I've got a grand tour here. It's going to be a train odyssey heading from Chicago to Los Angeles. And then that's on again Train 3, the Southwest Chief. and then continuing from Los Angeles up to Portland, Oregon on the Coast Starlight train, and then returning from Portland to Chicago on the Empire Builder. Those people who've been watching my train videos know that I recently took the Empire Builder, just as recently as a few months ago in late December of 2017. And even though it was overall a good trip, there was one day there where the heat wasn't working, and with frozen toilets and cold temperatures, it was somewhat unpleasant. Not unbearable, but definitely unpleasant. And part of this trip has been subsidized, if you will, by a voucher from Amtrak as partial compensation for the things that didn't go very well on that other Empire Builder trip. And now that it's mid-May, it's going to be quite different from my other trips. I've not taken the Southwest Chief this time of year. There should be more daylight now than when I've taken it before. The Coast Starlight's going to be a new one for me. And the Empire Builder, even though I'm well familiar with it, I'll be taking it on the Portland, what do you want to call it, the branch of the trip, instead of the Seattle branch that I've always taken before. That means that on that trip I'll not only be going from west to east, contrary to my usual direction, but I'll be going along the Columbia River for the first part of the trip, which should be nice and definitely different from what I usually get on the Empire Builder. And it should still be daylight going along the Mississippi on the Minnesota-Wisconsin border, something that's always been in pitch darkness when I've taken the Empire Builder in the past. So there's something to look forward to there. And there's probably going to be some other videos as well, because I've got several day layovers in both Los Angeles and Portland to do some sightseeing, visit museums. I've done walkthroughs of some aviation museums. I'm going to do some more on this trip and some other things. So should be a lot of good videos coming out of this. But just to start this one off properly, it's now 2:59 in the afternoon, and the train is supposed to depart at 3, so it should be rolling almost any minute here. And usually they depart pretty punctually. So hopefully we'll be rolling here shortly. I don't want to cover a lot of Illinois because I've done that on other train videos, so I'm going to try to be more selective. But we should get a nice crossing of the Mississippi at Fort Madison, Iowa, and I don't think I've got that on another video from the past. And some other things. Here we go. It's 3 o'clock, 2:59 and 50 seconds by my watch, and the train is starting to roll. As usual, I'm in a roomette in the Superliner sleeper car. I have my GPS set up. It still doesn't know where we are because we're underground here. I have my scanner set up to scan the Southwest Chief frequencies. I've got my road atlas so I can check out locations along the way. And I've got my usual bag of goodies that I picked up at Union Station. And my suitcase, and hanging up here is my backpack. I had a memory card error there just as we were pulling out of the station, so I lost a little video. Hopefully the video I had up to that point is in good shape. It's a rainy weekend, but luckily it's not raining right now.
Go ahead. After you're clear of all departments, located highway 364 to the depot.
figure out where I'm not getting any announcements in my room. Huh. And here's where the train curves. Coming south out of Union Station, and now we're curving towards the west, and we'll be heading out past Naperville and then out into the great prairie land of northern Illinois. Well, I didn't actually have a memory card error. I was just checking that out. I bought a new camera for this trip. It's identical to the one I usually use, but that one also gets used in my shop, and it was getting banged up a little bit from being dropped too many times. So I bought another one just like it, and I thought I had it set up properly, but it turned out I had it set up for the extreme high quality, high definition video, and it was just chewing through memory on my memory card, so I have remedied that now.
Well, can our slam cut our paperwork and everything working over? Alright, is it 5707 Fairley Motor over? Okay, copy that, main 4, Western Avenue, tied down over.
So we're just sailing along on our way towards Naperville. Probably get there pretty quickly. I think while we're doing this, I'm going to take an opportunity to review the route. So here's the good old US of A. If I can get some decent non-shadowed lighting on this. So we're here in Chicago, and the train goes down to, let's see, yeah, right about here. There we go. So it makes a diagonal from Chicago down to here, and this is where Burlington is, and then just south of it is Fort Madison, and I believe that's where the tracks cross the Mississippi at that point. And then the tracks continue down to Kansas City, so it's a diagonal about like this, Kansas City, and then it's more or less straight west across Kansas, and you end up coming down here, kind of skirt the corner of Colorado, more or less like this, and then it comes down here, kind of close to I-25, and then it goes through the mountains here, and then it curls down, and it comes to Albuquerque, and then it runs pretty much straight west along the northern part of Arizona, goes through Flagstaff right here, then it comes in here again fairly close to the interstate, and it comes in kind of up by San Bernardino here. If I can get rid of this bouncy piece of track here. Whoa. Yeah, these old, this is actually a route used for Metro too, and those aren't usually quite so rough, but they're not spending the money to maintain the rail bed as much as they should. Anyway, so San Bernardino comes down here through Riverside, then it proceeds west, and it hooks into Los Angeles from the south. So that's the first leg of the trip. Chicago all the way down to Los Angeles. The second leg of the trip will be on the Coast Starlight, which I actually haven't investigated the exact route, but it's basically going up through here all the way to Portland. When I do the separate video on that leg of the trip, I'll go into more detail. And then the third leg of the trip will be the Empire Builder, and it'll run along the Columbia River here. It'll make its way up to Spokane. It'll join the other half of the Empire Builder that comes from Seattle. The trains will join, and then it runs all the way along Highway 2 up to Grand Forks here, drops down to Fargo, then it's diagonal down to Minneapolis, then it follows the Mississippi down to La Crosse right here, crosses over, diagonals across Wisconsin to Milwaukee, and then back down to Chicago. So that's the grand tour here for this Train Odyssey. And we're sailing through the town of Lisle right now. That's what the family room is good for. I was just having a chat as we're stopped here at Naperville with my car attendant pointing out that the PA is not working in my room. That's not a big deal, and it's not the first time I've had a car where the PA wasn't working. They're just going to have to write it up. There's no fixing it now. So mostly I don't have to listen to it because I'm getting off at the end, and I'm not too worried about having to get off at some intermediate station or anything like that. The main thing is hearing the call times for dinner, and on this train lunch, since they've decided to make lunch by reservation as well. But that's not too hard to figure out without a PA system, so minor inconvenience. Anyway, so Naperville's down here relative to Chicago, and after Naperville we're going to come down here and cross the Fox River in Aurora, and then it's countryside after that. Yeah, the track's a little bit rough here. There's my water bottle falling over. One thing I like about these train trips is not only do you get to see some really spectacular scenery in a more leisurely way than you would if you were, you know, driving past and you have to keep your eye on the road, and certainly better than you could see it from an airplane, or at least a commercial airplane, but you also get to go through the less than cosmetic side of so many towns and cities, the back end of the industrial areas and a lot of backyards and so on. So now we're in Aurora, Illinois, as evidenced by the GPS. And we're gonna turn a bit south here before we cross over the river. little bouncy here. And that, in two forks of the river, was the Fox River, which in many people's minds defines the west edge of Chicagoland, or the greater Chicago metropolitan area, after which most of the suburbs kind of peter out pretty quickly and the cornfields begin. So we should be into that real shortly. We're passing through Sandwich, Illinois. Miles an hour. Too early for any corn to be up. We're just on the outskirts of Leland, Illinois. Mendota, Illinois. I have a friend who grew up in Mendota, and he always said that there were no stop signs or stop lights anywhere in the town. I'm not sure if that's still true. I didn't think Mendota was a stop, but they're slowing down like it's going to be.
Two more cars in, number 3.
Yep, it is a stop. The station looks pretty new.
One more, number 3. Half a car, number 3. 10 feet. And that was number 3.
So they've boarded a few passengers into my car, and now they're moving ahead 3 cars to let these guys get on. Since it's not a regular platform here, it's just that narrow
2 more
cross.
cars. 1 car.
You can hear them saying 2 cars, 1 car,
Half a car.
half a car.
And 3.
I wonder if this little railroad museum here is new. I don't recall seeing it the last time I came through here.
We can have us in case. Delete back.
And just pulling out of Princeton, Illinois. So we're right there. Now we're going to come down here diagonally to Galesburg, and then continue on down to Burlington, past Dallas City, and to Fort Madison. And it is 4:47. So the train's been rolling only for an hour and 47 minutes. That's Interstate 80 down there. I think the cars are gaining on us. And something else that's a little different. For the first time that I can recall, my sleeper car has Wi-Fi. So I may try that out.
So look down here, and it's calling for 10.
So this is just outside of the town of Buda, Illinois. It's interesting to observe in instances like this how the road follows the terrain, but the tracks are graded to remain more or less level, at least for the short term. I was thinking we're going 80 miles an hour and that truck was pacing us, and then you get this little town there with these sharp turns. Have to slow down a lot lower than 80 to make those turns. So we're coming into Kewanee here. Just outside of Altona, Illinois. Oh, rain. I'm enjoying the relaxation, but I wouldn't want to be out here driving today.
Excuse to my upload.
That was the little town of Watauga. I think the next town is going to be Galesburg. We're pretty close to it. Which should be our last stop in Illinois. So this is Galesburg, Illinois. And it's now 5:30. So we've been rolling for 2.5 hours from Chicago. Yeah, this is the first time I've taken a train through Galesburg in many years when it wasn't pitch black by the time we got here. Things are a bit breezy out there. The trees are moving around quite a bit. Wouldn't be surprised if they've got a thunderstorm brewing here in the vicinity. They're doing this big project here. I seem to recall this street used to cross the tracks at grade level, so they're doing one of those huge underpass projects that takes forever. Wonder what they're doing there. No idea. Well, we're sitting here at Galesburg. I should point out that I have been trying the Wi-Fi here in the car, and it's worse than doing it over the cellular network. It's probably okay for checking your emails and so on, but I tried just a test of watching a couple of YouTube videos, and it spends more time pausing than it does playing, so not good, barely usable. I'm not sure if it would have been any better if I'd tried it when we were closer to the city, but yeah, not all that great. Yeah, there's a pretty stiff breeze blowing out there.
Good elbow, vacation. It's 34, 35 and 38.
Number 3, our control 35, 35, 38, 38.
So we're here at Galesburg, trying to get some good light on this. We still have to get down here kind of by Burlington. We don't actually go to Burlington. There's this little town of Lomax that you can see right in the middle of the picture, and the tracks go diagonally up from Lomax to Galesburg, and then they follow the river. So I'm guessing that's going to take about another hour.
Checking out the Hewlett Packard 85. What?
As you can see from the GPS here, Galesburg is a meeting point of quite a few different railroads coming in from different angles. Got a switch yard in there and everything. And I think pretty much every Amtrak westerly trip from Chicago, except for the Empire Builder, and not counting the city of New Orleans, because that goes straight south more or less, goes through Galesburg, but they don't all go the same way. They may use the same tracks as far as Galesburg and then go off in some of these different angles depending on where they're going to cross the Mississippi and head further west. And it's possible, I don't actually know the route of the city of New Orleans, maybe it goes through here too. Classic round barn. Kind of a small one, but I don't think that qualifies as a grain shed. Maybe it is. Anyway, it's round. And the train's making this little gyration here. Looks like we're swapping over to another set of tracks here at Cameron. There's the right branch, and we're taking the left one. It seems to me when I've come this way before, because this other track here also comes from Galesburg, so it's like they send us out on a different track than you normally use. And now we have to do this little maneuver to get onto the correct track. There's probably some rail fans out there that'll say, no, I'm full of it, it's always done this way, but I don't remember it.
Dispatcher Galesburg Radio. 21, your waiting on AMTRAK to come through today.
So now we've merged onto that line.
Roger 25.
Roger on the approach, waiting for one to clear, then we'll cross over.
Approach switch 1 clear, crossing over, Roger.
This is the town of Media, Illinois. It's more of a place than a town, I think. There might be a little town there, a couple blocks wide.
I know.
I was just exhausted. He's battered and bruised.
I noticed some of this
Yours is a tough degree though. I mean, it's desert. It's like the different areas of desert, like with the different makeup of the soil. So like New Mexico and Arizona, it's like red, and then you get to California, and it's just desert. But it's been really pretty, and it's really fun to see the different styles of houses. And you know,
You're not in it. And this is a weird bridge too.
Mushier, right? You knew nothing about the portrait.
There was a lot of hammering in and then knocking the nails back out.
Oh.
Like, oh.
It was a little frustrating.
Are they good?
The guy said at the end, it's like the more so than we've done for a long time.
That's really good.
That's the Chicago mean town. Unfortunately, just go. I don't make money in 2 hours. That's a job. It's a job.
Yes.
I'm a shock to how wide it is.
We're going into Iowa now then. Mississippi River.
I know, right?
Oh, you're not in, don't worry. Oh yeah.
Let you get the bridge in if that's what you wanted. It doesn't have a whole lot.
So we just crossed over the Mississippi and now we're in Fort Madison, Iowa.
Like turns, you let the ship through, or?
while you're not going to try not to die.
Oh, it's
No, the truck
So the speed limit in Texas is 80. So we were coming from California, where it's 65, sometimes the hinterland is 70.
So, having crossed the Mississippi and into the very corner of Iowa, south of Fort Madison, we've been coming down at an angle here, and you can see on the GPS there's the border with Missouri. So we're just getting ready to cross from Iowa into Missouri now. Now that we're bending westward again. This is the state line here. And this is the Des Moines River, by the way. So now looking at the detailed map, train's going to come pretty much diagonally across the state into Kansas City. I suppose by the time we get to Kansas City it'll long be dark. And then we get to go through Kansas tonight and wake up in Colorado, or possibly western Kansas. I'm not sure exactly how the timeline works out for that, but so northeastern Missouri isn't much different from northwestern Illinois. Fun and timely fact that in the dining car they didn't have any salads for this trip, even though it's supposed to be part of the meal. They didn't really offer an explanation. My only guess is that because the recent scare of romaine lettuce from wherever in Arizona, or I think it was Arizona, that it was coming in infected with E. coli or something, that there's been a big drop in the supply of lettuce. Maybe that caused it. We're doing about 90 miles an hour now.
At least, sure enough, there's my program.
Well, it's about 8:20 in the evening, and it's going to be too dark to take any video here pretty soon. So I think I'm going to have to continue this tomorrow. So it's about 9:30. That's my usual going to bed time on the trains, because it's usually dark by that time, nothing to see, and I don't really find that the lights in the room are bright enough to do much reading, at least not when sitting up. It's okay to read my book laying down, but that's about it. So 9:30 is retiring time, and my room's been made up for the night. We're on a nice section of rough track here, and probably an hour or two northeast of Kansas City at this point. But I suppose we'll be there before midnight at the rate we're going. And I'll resume this video in the morning. Well, it's now the 13th, and it's about 6:10 in the morning. I was up at 5:30 to get a shower. I'm getting ready to go to the dining car now, and it's still mostly dark outside. The GPS says that we're in Garden City. There we go. Which, if I zoom out, you can see right there, there's the state line. So we should be in extreme western Kansas at this point, ready to cross over into Colorado. So, time for breakfast. Well, they're not actually open in the dining car until 6:30. Could have sworn I heard them say 6 o'clock, but since I wasn't getting announcements in my room, I may have misheard. So I have to wait a little bit more, enjoy some of this pre-dawn Kansas glory here. My home state, by the way. Even though I was so little, I didn't know it. Well, on the state map of Kansas, we're not quite as close to the border as I thought I was. I wasn't getting any reference points on my GPS. So looking at the map, here's Garden City, and we still have a ways to go. However many miles that is. Looks like it's at least 60 miles yet till we get to the border. And we're paralleling Highway 50. So, I'll probably be done with breakfast before we get out of Kansas.
Conductor still in the clear. Roger that, all in the clear. Thank you. Conductor AMTRAK number 3. It's Highball Garden City. Looks like it might be delayed and locked there. Over. And we go delayed block. Need at 21 Garden City.
I don't know how we're doing schedule-wise, because I've noticed on my more recent Amtrak trips that they haven't been putting the schedules in the rooms anymore, so I don't know if that's a cost-saving move or what. If I really wanted to know, I could pull it up on my smartphone, but I don't care that much.
We're answering over. AMTRAK 3, Garden City times are 17 and 21, over. 17 and 21, you'll have a good rest of your day, over. Okay, roger, you to AMTRAK 3 out.
So while I'm waiting for breakfast, a bit of a tidbit of information here that I don't know that I've mentioned on my other train videos. You'll hear on the scanner, they'll say, you know, AMTRAK 3 clear to Highball or something like that, just before the train starts to move. And there's usually a blast from the whistle happening at that same time. And Highball is just a shorthand term meaning that the train is clear to proceed and go to the full rated speed for that section of track. So basically no speed restrictions other than the maximum allowed speed. They don't have to pull out at any particular slow speed for a while. They can you know, if the speed in the area is 60 miles an hour, they can go to 60 as quick as they want to go, basically, is what it's saying. And the term apparently originated from an early signal pre-radio, where in rail yards they would lift a large white ball up a vertical pole in sight of the locomotives, and if the ball was all the way at the top of the pole, that meant the same thing, basically. You're clear to take off and go to your full allowed speed, so hence the term highball. And it's a cute term that's stuck, apparently. And at 7:15 we are crossing into Colorado. Having just returned from breakfast. So 7:20 in the morning on the second day, and the GPS says that we're, gonna get a focus here, and it's bouncy, on Highway 50, or just by Highway 50, just about halfway between the state line and Highway 385, which puts us around Granada there. Well, actually, we're not that far yet, because we're not even at 385 yet, so we're kind of where it says Holly there. And I think in general we'll be going along Highway 50 to La Junta, and then more or less down along Highway 350 there to the Trinidad area, and then down into New Mexico. I think that's the general route. So just cutting the corner of the state. There's something about the particular vibration from the tracks at this moment which is resonating with the bottom of my door. If I put my foot against it, it stops vibrating, but if I don't, it shakes. So off there in the distance is Highway 50. Is my camera going to focus? Looks like it's going to be difficult. Pretty much hear it on the video here. It's just there's a shaking, rattling going on. You can feel it through the seat of my pants. I guess it's the track here, but it almost feels like there's a flat spot on the wheel, but we didn't have that earlier. So this is Granada. When I was mentioning times this morning, it was Central Time I was mentioning, but We're in mountain time now. I'm not sure where the time zone changed, if it was right at the Colorado border maybe. Anyway, so it's now only 6:30 in the morning, local time. And just before 7 in the morning mountain time, we pull into the town of Lamar, Colorado. This reminds me of the little Bergen, Wisconsin, where my father grew up. About the same kind of town. Thai Spicy Basil Asian Grill. Yeah, well, 7 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, it's going to be pretty quiet.
Okay, here we go, delayed clock 58. And 59 there, Lamar.
I've seen a lot of these windmill type rigs this morning. They look like the traditional windmills I'm familiar with, except they have many more vanes with a much finer blades on them. A really wonderful stretch of track we're on here. It pretty much precludes trying to read. Tried reading my Kindle and I just couldn't keep the text in focus with the bouncing around. So it's looking out the window instead. Everything here is apparently irrigated. This area might actually be fairly arid on its own, but it's irrigated. All the fields you can see are round. The corners of them are just scrub, like this area here. And then the green parts in the big circle where they've got the irrigating machines. You can see one there. So we're approaching a conservation area here, just south of Highway 50, which is just a little ways off in the distance. This is, I think they call it the John Martin Reservoir, and coming up very quickly on the left we'll see the dam at the discharge of the reservoir. I believe it's the Arkansas River that flows in and out of this reservoir. And you can see the dam there in the distance. It's going to bounce around a lot. See if I can stabilize it. About impossible to hold the camera steady in here with all the bouncing around, and the speed's been quite low. We're technically going 61 miles an hour. It feels like we're going 40, and I think it's because the track is so rough here. They've got a speed restriction on it, otherwise we should be flying through here.
NSF detector, milepost 520.1. No defects. Repeat, no defects. Total axle 4 out.
You can see here we're approaching a section of the reservoir that extends down. I have a vague recollection that there might be a causeway across that the drain goes across. I guess we'll find out. If there is going to be a causeway, we're going to be on it any second here. There we go. Track has gotten slightly smoother and we're up to 80 miles an hour now. Approaching the western edge of the reservoir. A lot of submerged trees over there. This is Los Animas, Colorado.
44 west, track 1875-57. All clear west of those limits at 832.08. 32 engineered oil is correct, over.
All correct. Thanks, we'll see you next time.
Okay, roger that. Have a good day. Conductor, 832 on the clear. Let's go to 72. Roger, 0832. Here we go, 72. 372. And on 72.
I think they have a few cows at this ranch. It's a little smoother now, not so much rattling, but it's still bumpy and bouncy here. So I'm still not able to read my book. We're paralleling a small river here. I'm not sure which one it is. Near as I can tell from the map, it's the Arkansas River. But I'm not sure about that. My GPS doesn't show it, and my other map isn't of sufficient resolution. And I'm not getting good data connection out here for my phone to look it up on Google Maps, so. We're on the eastern outskirts of La Junta. That's spelled like La Junta, but it's La Junta, I believe. Passing a big freight train here. So I suspect that the La Junta Station is on the other side of the train.
You got time? Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Hey. Sorry. Thank you.
It was just bizarre.
So much snow, the snow piles can keep up with.
So this is the wonderful La Junta Station. Not very much here.
Exactly, right? See it? Yeah. Change.
So what we have here is two locomotives, followed by the baggage car, followed by what I believe is the transition car there, and then one sleeper car,
Like on the outskirts, somewhere like Lancaster, right?
And then depending on where you were.
and my sleeper car, and then the dining car, and the lounge car that I've not been to yet, and then looks like 3 coach cars back there. See these people over here cleaning their window. They're apparently in the family room there because it's got the small window. That's one reason why I don't care for the family room, is because the windows are small. I wish I could clean my window, but I'm on the upper level. You can see that the
Well, for 1.5, you can get that.
windows are a little bit dirty.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure when I think
So, still in La Junta, Colorado. There's a long station stop here. And I've relocated to the lounge car because there are a couple of people from the National Park Service who are going to be giving a talk as we proceed from La Junta here down past Trinidad. And then if I can find New Mexico.
Let me turn these on.
And then continuing down from Trinidad as far as Las Vegas, New Mexico.
Testing. Testing, 1, 2.
AMTRAK train number 3, Southwest Chief of Service to Los Angeles, California.
Those of you between the ages of 7 and 13, we offer a Junior Ranger program. After the conductor has picked up your ticket, you are welcome to join us in the lounge car for this interpreted tour of the Southwest. Thank you.
And AMTRAK, I'd like to introduce you to the Trails and Rails program aboard the Southwest Chief. The program, which began in 1994, is a partnership between AMTRAK and the U.S. National Park Service, English with an Irish or Scottish brogue. This multicultural setting was the beginning of the New West, where people from many backgrounds worked, mixed, and socialized together. Bent's Fort was not a military post, but 1,700 troops passed through the fort in 1846, spaced about 50 yards apart. Placed by the U.S. Forest Service, these posts show the route of the original Santa Fe Trail. It was an important factor on the trail for survival of the people and the livestock. Even though the stop at Tempest was considered important for survival, the creek here was often just a series of intermittent pools. The Plains Indians lived for centuries as nomadic tribes supported by the migrating buffalo. The Comanche and Kiowa dominated the southern plains, and later the Cheyenne and Arapaho rose to power in the 1820s, were forced west to the plains and spent many hours refining their buffalo hunting techniques. The Cheyenne moved their home. The buffalo head was used for spiritual rituals. Dance was and still is an important aspect of Plains Indian culture. It is an expression of art, spirituality, language, ritual, culture, and identity, and to large annual gatherings that last a week. We can't see it. We could have a little bit ago if we didn't have clouds, but we need to talk about Pikes Peak because it's a most famous landmark. It inspired an English teacher from Massachusetts, Catherine Lee Banks, to write the words to America the Beautiful.
About 10-15 minutes, I'll walk you through the train on reservations. At that time, we're going to see for passengers to be
Sneak right in there.
Once again, I want to
We can't right now.
Or has snow on it, it has snow on the wild west. You can't see it from here. You can get to the Trinidad and see it again. But now it's
Ride stops. This is normal. Throughout most of the year, the grass is dormant, waiting for the next rainy season, which runs from May through July. And we are all hoping we get more rain. The dominant grasses are blue grama and buffalo grass, both highly nutritious grazing plants. Prairie grasses have long root systems. A plant only a few inches high can have a 4-foot root system. Grasses are eaten by grazing animals even in the dormant stage. In the southwest, the gramas are the mainstay of the range. Gramas, meaning grass in Spanish, were named by the Spanish conquistadors. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says gramas are choice grazing for all livestock.
So this is looking for Pikes Peak here. Oh, where's it at? I think that's it there, but now I'm shooting obliquely through the window and it's not coming out too good. Oh well. I don't know if it's completely true, but the Park District person said that this section of track is not used by freight trains except in emergencies. And it was supposedly improved from whatever it was fairly recently. It's still pretty rough. That's got to be a major expense. And AMTRAK has had big cutbacks in their budget. So, and I don't know if they're responsible for maintaining this rail line or not. If it's owned by another company and they're just using it, not sure. But whatever the case may be, it's still not very smooth track. Well, I'm back in my room. I really wanted to hear the presentation that the Park Service ladies were trying to present, but it seemed like every 5 minutes the guy from the dining car decided to chime in with his sales pitch, and they had to keep interrupting it. And then all the people in the car, a bunch of people moved in who wanted to carry on their own conversations instead of listening to the presentation. Pretty soon I couldn't follow it anymore, and just became annoying. So I think that's Pikes Peak in the distance. I wonder if my camera will pick it up without totally losing focus. I think that's it there. Let me try my other camera.
Roger.
So as the GPS shows, we're just paralleling Highway 350 here. So we're still paralleling Highway 350 at 9:30 in the morning, and we're coming in where Highway 160 and Highway 25s intersect at Trinidad. So we've made our way from La Junta down here almost all the way to Trinidad. We're right there where the highways come together on the east side of Trinidad. Then we're going to be heading pretty much straight south into New Mexico. So we can start seeing the mountain range here off to the west. Road atlas identifies the nearest mountain range to the west as the Sangre de Cristo mountains, just a very narrow mountain range. I would have thought those would still be further away than what these look like, so again, I'm not sure. There's a couple of decent sized peaks in the distance there, but I can't really identify what those are. So we're pulling into Trinidad, Colorado now. That's I-25 just off to the right. So we just now pulled into the Trinidad Station. I'm going to do a quick walk. But we're not at any platform yet. At least not this car.
Pretty church. Yeah, we're gonna go to Sedona tomorrow, which, have you ever been there? Oh, I love it. It's like heaven. I think it's, they call it the second heaven.
Ladies and gentlemen, next station stop coming up will be Rattan, New Mexico in approximately 1 hour. Rattan, New Mexico coming up in approximately 1 hour.
So at just a few minutes before 10 in the morning, we're leaving Trinidad, Colorado, soon to cross into New Mexico. This is actually a pretty area here. You've got a little bit of elevation. There's a bit more vegetation. Got the nice rock outcroppings. I was down hoping to get off at the station platform, but they did not open the doors on my car, so I think it's one of those stops where they only open it for the people who need to get on and off in those specific cars. There wasn't a long enough stop to be letting everybody off for a smoke break or anything. So we're paralleling I-25 here and gaining elevation. Train's only going about 30 miles an hour because we're going up a shallow grade. Got this little bit of a mountain range here. I think it gets up to about 7,000, 7,500 feet elevation at the pass, and higher adjacent to the pass, of course. Otherwise it wouldn't be a pass. Luckily the haze is cleared, and now we've got a nice blue sky day. Get a view of the front of the train there briefly.
detector. Milepost 649.8. Main 1. No defects. Repeat. No defects. Total axle 4. Detector out.
So we can zoom in up here and see that the interstate is going up a pretty good climb there, and our train's going to be, there it is, making this big curve. It's going to go all the way around there. That's where we've come from down there. So you can see we definitely have been coming up a pretty decent grade. Hence the 20 miles an hour the train's been doing for the last 20-30 minutes. So we're about to go through the Rattan Tunnel. And this is right near the Rattan Pass, which itself is 7,835 feet above sea level, I believe. It's also right at the Colorado-New Mexico border. We're getting into the cut here for the tunnel, and there's the face of the tunnel. So we are now in New Mexico. And way up there are people traveling much faster than we are. And as was mentioned by the Park Service ladies a bit earlier, this train is generally paralleling the old Santa Fe Trail, which was an important trail during the expansion of the United States into the Western Territories. And the trail went through the same Rattan Pass that we have just been going through. And that was the highest point on that trail. Yeah, we can see that everything's going downhill gradually there. There was evidently a forest fire came through here in the not too distant past. Old telephone lines laying down there, all the wires snapped and laying on the ground. Windows are real dirty. I think it did get some rain on it overnight and then picked up all the dust going through the more desert area, as dry as it's been there.
Thank you.
So we got the high ball.
45, 56.
And we're rolling. My car attendant says it takes 4 to 5 hours to get from here to Albuquerque, which is the next stop. I believe it's pretty much along this way up through these mountains, so it's fairly pretty up there. And I recall it goes near Los Alamos and then it continues on down to Albuquerque, and then it pretty much parallels I-40 west past Gallup and then into Arizona. And it'll probably be pretty late in the day by that time, late afternoon. So right now it's about 11 o'clock. So it should be maybe 4 o'clock-ish by the time we get into Albuquerque. Hoping for some good scenery between here and there. Here. There's a rest stop along I-25, which is now on our right side. We've got this nice rattly, jostly track we've got here. I-25. Come on, we're only going 78 miles an hour. If we go 80, maybe we can pass that truck. Somebody's got a broken down, or not broken, but a small threshing machine and a combine harvester with at least one head on it. Lots of cattle out here, including all the little squirts that have been born in the not too distant past. A lot of them are laying down. A little hard to spot. It's 12 noon Mountain Time, and according to the GPS, we are about here. Still paralleling I-25 and approaching Las Vegas, New Mexico. So I put most of my train videos up on YouTube. I've got a lot of people who subscribe for them, and they criticize me harshly because I don't show the food. So it's about 1 in the afternoon. I just finished lunch. As I was at lunch, the train went through Las Vegas, New Mexico, and now it's heading towards Santa Fe. It's still paralleling I-25, so it's dipping down, and now it's heading back up towards Santa Fe again. Although, if I recall correctly from the last time I took this trip, it didn't actually go to Santa Fe, that it kind of cut the corner and a bit south of there. So I don't know if they're running exactly the same route now or not. We'll find out. That's Interstate 25 just over there. And we're on a bit of twisty-turny track here, which is probably why the train isn't going any faster than the 20 miles an hour it's doing. We are going down a slope here, so the land is rapidly dropping away. As you can see here, it goes down to a pretty low basin down there. I'm gathering that's where we're going to be presently. So we're still paralleling I-25 here, and we're approaching the town of Ilfeld. And this area here is considered to be the the Santa Fe National Forest. We're coming into the outskirts of Ilfeld now. And we're sailing along here at about 75 miles an hour. Bumpier than heck, but still paralleling I-25. And we're into that area now where we're heading back up a little bit. I cannot hold the camera steady there, even with both hands. It sounds like my washing machine's out of balance over there.
44 West, 362 West Brainerd, CTC Road with main track, we're clear. 1354, 1354 over.
Right here zigzag loop of I-25. And it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Some marvelous erosion down there. Somebody has a cute ranch down there in that hole. Seems like quite a few of these isolated houses here that imply somebody has a fair amount of money. So we're just now leaving the Santa Fe National Forest, and we're still next to I-25. And on the map, this is where we are. And right in the center of the picture there is the zigzag we're on, so we're really just outside of Santa Fe, New Mexico, on the southeast side. Tracks have departed away from I-25, and I do seem to recall that there was a bypass the last time I came this way where it didn't go quite where you thought it was going to go.
AMTRAK 44 West, numerous dispatch, over.
This is a Lamy or a Lame or L-A-M-Y anyhow.
Can you verify our track warrant? 25 minutes? Yeah. Alright, so just waiting on a warrant, roger.
Which is right there in the middle of the screen, right below Santa Fe.
Perfect, ready. Give me back truck for 1022, over.
So we're somewhere right around here now. And I think we kind of parallel I-25 at a bit of a distance, coming into Albuquerque from the north there. Yeah, so we weren't lurching so bad. So this is where the train is now. It's kind of running near this river and a bit off to the west of I-25, heading down into Albuquerque. And you can see the river valley down there where that river is. And it's just about 3 in the afternoon. We should be getting into Albuquerque by 3:30. And we're making about 75 miles an hour at this moment.
Cristo warning at Candelaria Road, now void, over.
We'll show you that,
and we're in Albuquerque proper now, but not the downtown part yet, obviously. A lot of fences with razor wire on top. Maybe this isn't the nicest part of town.
Track number 4, go ahead, over. Still waiting on mechanical here. See if I can get you any time of departure, over.
10-minute or so delay outside the station while another Amtrak train was sitting there. I had to wait for it to get its bit done.
Head at work, Conductor 4, we're ready up here, over. I do that. Amtrak, NS3, you want me to walk the movement over?
Alright, Albuquerque.
Flags up in the rear, train 3.
And this is a long stop here.
Roger, good day, here comes your release. Over.
So here in Albuquerque Station, it's about a 45-minute stop. I presume they have crew changes and fueling the locomotives, probably adding new water to the tanks and the cars and so on. This is the crew car here. It looks like a superliner sleeper car, but this is where the crew sleeps. They have a different complement of bathrooms and showers. I don't think they have the full-size bedroom as upstairs. I think it's all roomettes. Although these transition cars, so I've been told, I've never been in one, but apparently from time to time when they have room that they'll let an overflow of people from the regular sleeper cars stay in a couple of the rooms in the transition car. Nice and warm, but not hot. This one's a little different. It's got this no windows on the lower level. I don't know if it's just a different model or if this one's got baggage storage or what. The crew member back there confirmed this is a special model of coach car that does not have seating on the lower level, and instead they have that area, the windows are blocked off and they've got that extra door on there, and that's so they can carry additional baggage there. Otherwise the baggage is way up at the other end of the train. It's a real attractive station here. one thing that I've been asked many times, not so much on YouTube, but by friends and colleagues who are interested in going on the trains, and I point out that the Superliner trains are double-deckers and that you can only get from car to car at the upper level, and that's in evidence there. And they say, well, how tall are the cars? And I point out they're only about as tall as the Metro Rail cars that are common in Chicago, which are double layers too, but they're more like a mezzanine level. There's not really two distinct levels. And there's the big difference that those cars do not use the interstitial space between one set of trucks and the other set at the front. That whole space in the middle on something like a Metroliner car really has nothing in it. Maybe it's got air conditioning or something, but the floor is actually about where that red line would be on this car. So the first floor starts from there and goes up, and therefore there's not a full height for the second level. So it's kind of scrunched vertically. But on the Superliner cars, the bottom floor is only one step up from the platform. You don't have to go up about 3 steps like you do on the commuter train cars, and that allows the lower floor to be lower. Therefore they can have 2 full height floors in the Superliner car. But the downside to that is that the lower floor cannot go all the way to the ends of the car because there's the wheel trucks there. So you've got a shorter lower level, and that's also why you can't go from car to car at the lower level, because there's no physical space to get a person through there. You must go to the upper level to get through. I'm hoping that my camera's getting this narration with the wind blowing like it is. But here's an illustration getting into a sleeper car. So it's this whole area here above the truck is machinery. I don't know what all's in it. You know, there's air conditioning, heating equipment, whatever in there, all the way up to the floor level. And then of course the upper floor continues to the next car about there, and that's roughly where the floor is for the upper level. And then the lower level starts right about here. That's the end of a handicapped room, or accessible room as they call it. And then you've got the little half window, because you can't go all the way over. There's a wall about there, so no room for the usual 6-foot window. And then you've got the 2 roomettes on each side here, and then the space in between has either got the stairway if you're on one side, or it has the restrooms if you're on the other side. So while I'm yakking about it, that's the side with the family room and the 4 roomettes. And then of course the luggage area and the stairs and a utility area. And then on this side you've got the shower room and 3 restrooms, and then the accessible room on the end, which is a mirror image of the family room.
Coaches, over. Roger. Conductor 3, head M3, let's highball Albuquerque on signal indication. Showed in at 51.51 and out at 47.47. AMTRAK number 3, highball Albuquerque, clear signal, main 1 restricted limit, and at 15:51 out at 16:47. That is correct.
Sitting here with the train facing south and the sun coming in. I've been baking in here, so I'm eager for the train to start heading west again.
Roger, AMTRAK number 3, good set, release over.
There's a big old round table down there, or turntable, whatever they call it. So it's about 5:30 and the train has left the Albuquerque immediate area, and now we're heading out into the flat, more desert-like area between Albuquerque and Gallup, which is on the Arizona border. We're still heading south here, and it looks like now to the west of Los Lunas that the train's finally starting to turn in a westerly direction, which means I won't have the sun blasting in my window so much anymore. We're now paralleling Highway 6 heading westbound. There's a nice long freight train. That's interesting. There's another one coming up right behind. I don't know that he's rolling at the moment. And there's another freight train in the distance. It's just sitting there. They're queued up.
Switch that puts the computer on a higher level. When some faults will stay, and other times you reset it without doing that. A lot of times faults won't stay reset.
And paralleling the freight rail line and Highway 6, just the narrow blacktop road there, we are rapidly coming up to intersect with Interstate 40, which is heading west to Gallup and Arizona. I believe that was Highway 6 we just went under. Although the old wooden bridge surprised me for a highway of that sort. And then way in the distance, just by that bluff there, or that ridge, is Interstate 40. So we're rapidly gaining on that. And so we finally caught up with Interstate 40 here. Looks like we're gonna go under it, yeah. And then parallel it from the north side, apparently.
They obviously know.
Ironic, her husband
There aren't that many people that come under last song.
But then we got on the flight. Where
Yeah, I'd run into that.
Oh, yeah. It's really
Yeah, I don't know how.
California schools
I mean,
are not
I don't know how
the white spread.
with the motorcycle, if it's an old bus, like you have to be.
To Wingate, that's a tailings dam. There's a marine and plant out there.
Just do to keep the bus cycle.
To recover the marine. It's called Ambrosia Lake. It's an area that was discovered by a couple of prospectors and but the workers out there.
Opportunity will be Flagstaff, 2 station stops away. When you do step off the train, beware there is a step between the train and the step box. So it's a little ways down. Please use caution when you are detraining. Thank you. Galesburg, New Mexico coming up.
And as it says up here, we are now in Gallup, New Mexico. This is a real short stop, just a few minutes.
Yeah, like you have it.
And so at about 7:30, we're pulling out of Gallup, New Mexico.
Roger, yellow flag for the 60 up.
The next stop is Winslow, Arizona, and then after that, Flagstaff. That'll be at night. Hard to get a picture out of here now because of all the glare and reflections. But we're sailing along in parallel with I-40 in extreme western New Mexico. Right there, ready to cross into Arizona. We're sailing along here at about 90 miles an hour. And we're really close to the Arizona border now. Yep, that was it, just about. Somewhere right about here is the state line. I think we just passed it. I could actually see the color on the highway change color, as if one state is maintaining it differently from another. It's about 8:45 at night. We're just sailing along here, still paralleling I-40, and we're in between Holbrook and Joseph City, and all these nice lights, and the distance is the Cholla power plant. That's C-H-O-L-L-A, which is one that I helped design earlier in my career. Lit up like a Christmas tree. It's gonna be time to go to bed here pretty soon. It's about 10:15 at night and we just pulled into Flagstaff. So it's the morning of the third day of the trip. This is May 14th, 2018. got up at about 4:15 this morning because breakfast was going to be served from 5 till 6 with a limited menu. Due to the early time expected into Los Angeles, they require a couple hours to clean up and put things away and whatever they have to do to clear the crew out of the diner car. And in my experience, they usually require at least a couple hours after the last service before the train arrives, so that timing made sense that they needed to have us done by 6 a.m. pretty much. So in order to get my shower and all that stuff taken care of, I was up bright and early. So we went through San Bernardino while I was eating breakfast. According to the GPS, we're just on the west side of Grand Terrace. And that would put us, well, again, the shadow's going to be inconvenient here, but there's Grand Terrace in the middle of the picture, and San Bernardino on top. Riverside would be down south of us. And the lighting is not going to be ideal for this, but see if I can make it work. So I think the train pretty much makes a big loop like this, and then up into LA from the south. And of course we came in from the north along the interstate into San Bernardino. There's a big pass in the mountains there, and even at the time I got up this morning, it was just choked with traffic. Commuters apparently heading into the Los Angeles area and trying to beat the traffic, but they already consisted of, there was already a lot of traffic because they were there. I can't imagine doing that commute. And now we're just coming into the north side of Riverside, California. At 6:10 in the morning, we're still going through Riverside. We're about halfway through it. It's a pretty big community.
Back on a clear 16, mate.
We're just over on the west side of Corona now.
Hey, get there, sir. Unless otherwise restricted, form report to gate 91107. Using 4B Bulletin 9518 on the San Bernardino Circuit. Mission AMTRAK number 3, AMTK 44 West, past the red flag at mile post 30.2 without stopping at maximum authorized speed. That's good for all main tracks.
Ah, yes. I'm glad I'm not heading into the city this morning. And that, by the way, is Highway 91 down there, California 91. It might as well be an interstate. It's a limited access highway, but it is not an interstate.
Approach medium. Rotterdam.
Approach medium, Rotterdam, 2 to 3 out.
Looks like we're converging with 91. Maybe we're going under it. And now we're passing through Yorba Linda.
Victory advance approach 38, main through.
Advance approach 38 out.
And we're now sailing along halfway in between Placentia and Fullerton. So on the overall Los Angeles area map, we've come down this way, and now we're right about here. We're in Fullerton now.
Approach at Fullerton Junction, main one.
Approach Fullerton Junction out.
This is Fullerton Station. This is Pico Rivera we're going through here. This is in the big rail yards in Commerce, which is just south of East Los Angeles. So this is East Los Angeles now.
4.45. South track, no defects.
Or possibly even Maywood.
Defects. Out.
Somewhere in that area. We're just west of I-710 and just south of I-5. Basically right about here. And downtown Los Angeles is visible not too far away. There's this large canal here, basically, which is often dry, although it's got that slightly lower area in the middle that every time I've been here has some water flowing through it. My map doesn't identify what it is, but I've been told it's the Los Angeles River. At about 7:35 in the morning, we're just parked here next to the Los Angeles River, which does have water flow in its deepest channel. We arrived here early, and we're really just outside of the area where the station is, but because we're here early, we're just sitting here biding our time until some other trains clear out of the station. And at 7:50 in the morning, we start rolling again. I'd like to be here sometime when this canal has actually got water in it more than just a trickle. And we're right where the blue dot is, and the tracks have come in from the southeast, and they're making this loop that we're halfway through. They're going to come down from the north and into the rail yard here at Union Station. So we're really close at this point.
28 west. Ready for a light? Here it comes. Out. Same for the show. John, did you have the rest of your Monday? 101, we got to restrict it into truck 3 trying to head over. Restrict for that. See you, Brother Mike. 705 Red, stop 84, standing with junction over. Copy, I'll be going to 3 here in about 3 minutes.
So this is Los Angeles Union Station that we're pulling into, the end of the line. That's it. This station is crazy busy right now. And everybody's going the direction opposite the way I'm going. And just since we're here, we're going to go into their Great Hall. Well, the rental car counters are down this way off the Great Hall. The last time I was here, there was absolutely nobody at either the Avis or the budget desks or the Hertz desk. It was just abandoned, even though it was supposed to be the time they were going to be here. And then I ended up canceling that and calling an Enterprise car, but this time it looks like there's somebody here, hopefully. And the Metropolitan Lounge for when I come back here in a few days is down this way. This is just out in front of Los Angeles Union Station.